its advertisers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to another edition of On The Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I'm delighted to be here to have a conversation with you, as always, on a Wednesday from 8 to 10 for 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. We are and continue to be the only show of its kind in St. Kitts and Nevis, where we offer you primetime radio on the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, offering you an opportunity to engage, to discuss, and, of course, for us to commix and commingle one with each other, trying to determine where we are from time to time, and to have a conversation about matters that are impacting the island of Nevis and the wider Federation. Of course, our dialogue goes as well towards the Caribbean and even farther afield internationally. So we tend to look and see what is going on and what is happening in the country. And so that is where we are. This is why we're here, to have that conversation, to continue to engage with you and one with each other as we move this island and this country forward, and as we continue to debate the issues that matter. Welcome to this edition of On The Mark. All of our friends here in Nevis, those in St. Kitts, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean and farther afield, particularly in the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, we say good evening to you and welcome to the show. Now, I start the show by sending some commendations. A young man sent me today to say that they've launched the Rotary Club of Nevis and that they're calling for members. They had a launch, they said, on June 25th, and I, of course, have seen now the redeployment of the notaries, the Rotary Club, the redeployment of the Lions Club, and these are service institutions that are well known, and certainly we encourage those of you who are civic-minded and want to get involved in making a contribution. We encourage you to get involved and be a part of those various organizations. We have a pretty packed show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are wondering why am I in a jacket and tie, I want to tell you that I have just left the groundbreaking for the much-awaited and anticipated Vance Amory International Airport Expansion Project. We have launched that project today. We had the groundbreaking where we had contractors and everybody else on site, and we're hopeful, therefore, that we will now see a speedy implementation of that project. The timeline they're saying is 18 to 24 months, and I'm optimistic that we can get it going. We have still not yet been able to secure, have in hand the funding from Taiwan because of this issue with the federal government and a guarantee, but we continue to work that through. In the interim, we're proceeding with the airport side of the project, and I was happy to see so many local equipment operators, truckers and the like, who are there and who are obviously looking forward to benefiting from this project. I should also say that tonight the general manager of our Nevis ENC Ports Authority, Mr. Brantley, announced that we are looking for air traffic controllers, and that the Nevis ENC Ports Authority is interested, those youngsters who may want to get involved, we are interested in sending you abroad for training, and we will pay to train you. I just want to repeat that. For those out there who might be interested in getting involved in aviation and air traffic control, we are hiring and we will train you at our expense. So we encourage youngsters to take advantage of that opportunity. We seem to be having some issues here in the studio. We're trying to understand why we're getting a bit of a feedback. I'm trying to get that resolved, so we hope that we'll continue and until such time as we can get a resolution on that. I don't know if you're out there and you're hearing us properly, but we are getting some, I feel like I'm in an echo chamber. It is coming through. Let's see. This now sounds a bit better. For me, it could be that the other device that you have is interfering with over here. I don't know. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're hearing me, and we hope to continue with the show. Now, tonight on the show, we have with us King This and That. He came here some weeks ago to release his first song for Kaiso for Culture Armor 52. He's now back, and he's back with his second song. As we know, the Calypso Arena, they have to come with 2 songs. That is what they do to compete. And as I did say, I have a packed show, because after King This and That, we have the return to our show of Dr. George. Dr. George was here some time ago. He's a pulmonologist, and he has been coming to Nevis now through how should I put it, the interest in Nevis, the love of Nevis, the patriotism of Ursula Phillip. And as a result of Ursula's initiative, Dr. George has fallen in love with Nevis. He's come here and he's back. And he's a pulmonologist, so he deals with breathing and other issues. We had a really great show the last time he was here. People were clamoring for him to come back. Well, he has agreed to come back, and we hope that he'll join us at 9 p.m. And so we have a lot to cover, but we start with the king. Because when you have the king in the house, you must deal with the king. He's royalty. King This and That, welcome back to On Demand.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening to all our listening.
We can hear you.
All those listening in the outer world, here locally and of course regionally, internationally. I am back, yes, to release my second song. This is serious times now. We have gotten past the music festival. We are coming up to Mango Festival starting tomorrow. And after that, you know, we go full speed into Culture 52 celebrations. So it is now time for Calypso here in Nevis to get serious and get going. And this one is a very timely one, especially after what we witnessed this afternoon with the airport groundbreaking. So this is a very timely song, and this one is called Love Your Country More.
Love Your Country More. Do we have the song lined up? Let's give a listen to King This and That, second song for Culture Armor 52.
Abroad, this one is for you. Like some people don't appreciate the struggles and sacrifice we made to get Nevis in such good shape. It is with blood, sweat and tears we paid, but some are taking it for granted. We must not allow them to forget what happens when people are misguided. They wind up losing, then start to regret. But we have a good story to tell. Little Nevis is doing well. From the mountain high to the ocean wide, between you and I am filled with pride. Cause in this land, opportunities abide. But every day we hear in Rwanda, and up there in the Gaza, people starving, people dying. And in the great United States of America, people under pressure. But here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. All you must remember, that while others suffer, here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. Our light is shining brighter every day. Oh yeah. We can't afford to let that slip away. No way. And we're not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now that we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. For us, my friends, look bright. So prepare to take full advantage. There's no need for us to fight. Let us enjoy this unique privilege. We have come this far by faith. We persevere through rough times. We were once a real post state. We had to watch while other nations shine. Well, it is Winnie Vision's time now to make other nations ball out. Wow! Nevis on the move to prosperity. Conditions will improve for everybody. Let us give thanks to the good Lord Almighty. But every day we hear in Rwanda and up there in the Gaza, people starving, people dying. And in the great United States of America, people under pressure. But here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. All you must remember, that while others suffer, here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. Our light is shining brighter every day.
Oh yeah.
We can't afford to let that slip away.
No way.
And we're not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now, let we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny
Yes.
is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. Some countries are now experiencing a level of poverty and crime, causing much pain and suffering, driving them crazy, messing with their mind. But we have no such problems here. We have a robust democracy where freedom and justice fill the air, and every household is bountiful and free. Yes, there are those who need much more, but things are better than before. Sustainability is what we need. Brother, that's the key for us to succeed, and we are well on our way indeed. But every day we hear in Rwanda and up there in the Gaza, people starving, people dying. And in the great United States of America, people under pressure. But here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. All you must remember, that while others suffer, here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. Our light is shining brighter every day.
Oh yeah.
We can't afford to let that slip away.
No way.
And we're not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now, let we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. A powerful message to every Vision. No matter where you are in this world, come back home.
King this and that. That song has so much in it, you know. The reference to our destiny and what our destiny is going to be, the encouragement to Nigerians to come home, talking about some of the things that we take for granted here, because you know life when compared to a lot of other places is really wonderful on Nevis. And sometimes when we hear people criticize and moan and groan, and you say, when you think about the poor people, as you say, of Gaza or someplace else in the world, who are really having extreme hardship, and people here would make the world out of a small pothole, and they go on as if the world is ending. So it's a rather interesting song, and I was just curious about the motivation for it.
Well, you said it. You said it just now. I mean, sometimes I think it's a lack of exposure, because when you listen to people speak about Nevis, some persons, you want to believe that we gone back to the primitive stage, you know, and I don't think they understand how nice they have it in Nevis. I mean, Nevis is wonderful in comparison to many countries. I've had the opportunity of traveling far and wide, and I'm telling you, Nevis is one of the better islands in the world.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the other day we were in New York, and on the drive from Manhattan where we stayed to get up to the Bronx where we had a meeting, I commented to the guys, I said, boy, if we had this type of road in Nevis, they would crucify us.
Exactly.
Because some of the roads that we traversed were horrible in New York.
Yeah.
And then when we got up to the Bronx, we got even worse roads in some areas. And I said, boy, this is big New York City.
Exactly.
You know, so it really is an interesting phenomenon. You have now released 2 songs. As you said, the Calypso tends to be one more serious than the other.
Right.
We have now heard both. You have heard the competition. What do you think of your chances this year?
If you don't change the judges, you'll get the same results.
So it's in the hands of the judges.
It always is, unfortunately.
But I'm curious as to why the Calypsonians have not insisted on that over the years in terms of getting different judges.
Well,
I think that it's only good practice to rotate the judges.
It's something that we used to do. The Calypsonians used to pick 8 judges, and the committee will pick 8, and we agree on the 16. So any 5 from that is good.
It's good, I see.
But they stopped that when the other party won. They changed the whole game, and they decide sometime on competition night, as you walk up, is when you see who the judges are. You don't have a clue.
Okay, but that's an interesting thing. All right, well, I'm happy that you've said that, because, I mean, we need the process to be fair, and we need all the stakeholders, and of course the Calypsonians are the major stakeholders here, to feel comfortable that they're being judged fairly. So that is going to be important for sure. But I notice you're not really hitting the judges this year.
No, I finish with that.
You leave them alone?
I leave them alone.
But you're accustomed to bringing a 4th verse, so we don't know what you might get.
You might get one. You might get a 4th verse, but not to do with the judges, because the judges, listen, the best judge to have is the local judges.
Yes.
The problem we have here in Nevis is that they can't seem to be objective. They make their mind up before they walk in that not he, and not he, and not he. And that's the problem you have here in Nevis. For personal reasons, they just go against Tom, Dick, or Harry. You're supposed to judge what you see on stage tonight.
Of course.
Now, you asked me the question earlier how I feel. With those 2 calypsos, you put them in the hands of any of the other calypsonian, and you hear all kind of noise around the country. How the person is so big, so powerful, why he sound great. But with missing in them, it's a major problem to some people.
Well, anyway,
It's
King,
personal.
you know what I've admired about you is that never stops you.
No,
from
I
making your
don't take it down
contribution.
anymore. I don't.
Because I spoke to one person who said he don't like the judges, so he stopped singing.
No, you
And I
can't.
think that, you know,
can't.
that is allowing the negativity to get.
Right.
So I feel very pleased that you've come again on the show to release this song. Is it possible for us to hear it just one more time, just so that the public can get another feel? This is King This and That.
Love your country more.
Love your country more.
For all divisions at home and abroad, this one is for you. Like some people don't appreciate the struggles and sacrifice we made to get Nevis in such good shape. It is with blood, sweat and tears we paid, but some are taking it for granted. what happens when people are misguided. They wind up losing, then start to regret. But we have a good story to tell. Little Nevis is doing well. From the mountain high to the ocean wide, between you and I am filled with pride. Cause in this land, opportunities abide. But every day we hear in Rwanda and up there in the Gaza, people starving, people dying. And in the great United States of America, people under pressure. But here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. All you must remember, that while others suffer, here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. Our light is shining brighter every day.
Oh yeah,
We can't afford to let that slip away.
no way.
And we're not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now, let we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. The future for us, my friends, look bright. So prepare to take full advantage. There's no need for us to fight. Let us enjoy this unique privilege. We have come this far by faith. We persevere through rough times. We were once a real poor state. We had to watch while other nations shine. Well, it is Winnie Vision's time now to make other nations ball out, wow. Nevis on the move to prosperity. Conditions will improve for everybody. Let us give thanks to the good Lord Almighty. But every day we hear in Rwanda and up there in the Gaza, people starving, people dying. And in the great United States of America, people under pressure. But here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. All you must remember, that while others suffer, here in Nevis, it's pure niceness. Our light is shining brighter every day.
Oh yeah,
We can't afford to let that slip away.
no way.
And we're not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now, let we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny
Yes.
is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. Some countries are now experiencing a level of poverty and crime, causing much pain and suffering, driving them crazy, messing with their mind. But we have no such problems here. We have a robust democracy, where freedom and justice fill the air, and every household live bountiful and free. Yes, there are those who need much more, but things are better than before. Sustainability is what we need. Brother, that's the key for us to succeed, and we are well on our way in the shining brighter every day.
Oh yeah,
We can't afford to let that slip away.
no way.
And we not giving up on our goal at all. The time is now that we demonstrate to the world. Visions, let patriotism unfold. Our destiny is to be free and in control. Sing!
Our destiny is to be free and in control.
That's the goal. A powerful message to every division. No matter where you are in this world, come back home.
King This and That, thank you, my brother, for being here with us and for, again, choosing On The Mark as a platform to release your songs. I look forward to being at the Kaiso competition as always and seeing you on stage.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to release on this worldwide listened to program.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
All
you
the
very much.
Best. All right, that was King This and That, releasing for us his second song.
Love Your
for
Country More.
Love Your Country More. His second song for Culturama 52. He's been doing this for 51 years. And that in and of itself needs to be stated and to be commended. So thank you to King This and That. Ladies and gentlemen, as he takes his leave, I will just remind that at 9 o'clock we're supposed to be joined by Dr. George, the pulmonologist, who has been coming. He's coming here tonight to have a conversation with us and to talk about the work that he's doing here with us, to give some tips. Those of you who recall, the last time he was here, he was teaching us, for example, that snoring is a bad thing. All my life I thought snoring meant that you're in a deep sleep. He said to the contrary, when you're snoring, it means that your body is actually signaling that it's not getting enough oxygen. So fascinating, and we certainly want to look forward to hearing him again and to spending some time with him to hear the work that he's doing here, to understand what efforts are being made to help the people of Nevis. And I can't thank Dr. George and his team enough, because they've continued to contribute at no cost to us, at no cost to the people of Nevis. I want to thank partners like Four Seasons Resort who have been here helping us. That has been incredibly useful, that they too have been participating as a partner. And because of that partnership, we have been doing quite well in terms of healthcare and delivering of healthcare to our people. Some people feel that healthcare is a building. They feel that healthcare is a bit of equipment. And while buildings and equipment are critical, healthcare is really about people engaging. It's about the specialists who come, people who show care and attention. And we thank people like Dr. George and his team who have volunteered. I want to stress that, volunteered to come and to help and to bring their expertise to bear to help the people of Nevis. So we say thank you to him, thank you to Ursula Phillip, who has made it possible. And Ursula is walking in the footsteps of her mom, also called Ursula Phillip, my dear friend. And it was her mom who conceived of this, and now that her mom is of blessed memory, Ursula has continued this very rich tradition of giving back. And so we are very grateful to them, and we are encouraging other Nevisions wherever they are. Dr. George is not Nevision, but Ursula is, but other Nevisions wherever they are, to find ways to give back. And that really is what, in a way, This and That is singing about. It's saying wherever you are, come home. Wherever you are, give back. Wherever you are, participate and contribute. We are trying to build a Nevis here, and we can't do it without your help. Now, I commented that I am attired as I am tonight because I was at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Van Samer International Airport. And as the project manager, the Honorable Michael Perkins, he was a former speaker, he was a former minister. But as Michael Perkins was speaking, and he traced the history of the project back to 2015, we realized that some 11 years would have gone by. Of course, we were interrupted by COVID. And I reflected in my own remarks that development takes time. A lot of times people are quick to condemn and to cuss, but people don't sometimes realize the extent of work that goes into making a major project happen. And when you're dealing with an island like Nevis, where resources are always scarce, where the financial resources aren't always available, it takes even longer. I want to go on record tonight to thank Paris Consulting. They've been with us from the inception. They worked on the Argyle Airport in St. Vincent, and they've come to help us. I want to thank the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. I always say when you want something done, give it to Alexis. He will get it done. And he was there this evening. And I want to thank him because I reached out to him and I said, Alexis, could you coordinate this project for me? And he has done so. And he has done so with aplomb. I want to thank Kelly Construction. They've come on board to be the contractor. And Kelly Construction, interestingly enough, did work at RLB in St. Kitts. They've done work in Barbuda, forgive me, to build the airport there. They've done work in Anguilla, in Antigua. And Kelly is deploying Nivisions. When I saw my old friend Okan was there, I saw Everett, who's also from Nevis. They were there. They're going to be on the ground assisting with this project here. In fact, Kelly is saying that Okan is coming from, I believe he said, Anguilla, and coming here to lead and assist in Nevis. He's Nivision. He's coming to help us in Nevis. And I look at those things and I said, you know, what we're trying to do here is not only build an airport. We're really investing in the future of Nevis. And as I looked in the crowd, I saw various people with their stakeholders. I even saw the Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge, the lead of the NRP. She attended, and I thank her for attending. Because I recall when we announced this project, before she gave herself an opportunity to know what the project was about, she led a protest. There were 5 or 6 of them over there with placards protesting against the project. And I keep saying, why do we do these things? I have seen commentary where some of them are saying Nevis doesn't need any airport because there's an airport in St. Kitts. That's the kind of commentary, and tonight I reflected that in the Bahamas with 700 islands, they have multiple airports all across these islands in the Bahamas. Nobody in the Bahamas say, well, we have Nassau, so we don't need anything else. Development and putting our people first and thinking ahead. We're not building this airport for us. I am now in the middle stages of the 50s. I am well on my way to that 70 if God is so good to me. I'm not doing what I'm doing for me. We're building Nevis for those who are yet to come. We're building Nevis for those who are now going into primary school and stepping into high school, those who are stepping out of sixth form, those who are fresh out of college and looking for opportunity. And I keep asking our people to raise our standards and our levels of engagement. Raise the way that we think. Transform our minds, because development starts with us, you know. If we continue to tell ourselves we're too small and we can't do this and we can't do that, if the response each time that something is proposed is that we can't, we shouldn't, we're not able, this is a little Nevis, why are you going to do a little Nevis? I'm tired of hearing that. I look at Bermuda, which is a model that I look at all the time. 21 square miles, 65,000 people living there. And one of the richest on a per capita basis islands in the world, not just in the Caribbean, in the world, Bermuda. When I look at St. Bart's just next door, a little speck, and what they've done with that little island. St. Bart's doesn't have Nevis's beaches. St. Bart's has no Gulf. St. Bart's has developed an incredible yachting sector. Life on the ocean, some of the most sought after villas in the world. And whenever you hear anybody talk about sought after places, they mention St. Bart's. These are examples of islands that did. Islands that said we will not be limited by our size. And I keep saying to our people, we should not continue to limit ourselves, and any leader who steps to you and comes with negativity to tell you what you cannot do. No, leaders should tell you what you can do. Leaders should tell you what you should aspire to do. And that is really the fundamental difference I find between the CCM administration that I lead and others. Because we are constantly encouraging our people to be great. The NRP has said to our youngsters, our young engineers, when you come back from school, you don't know what you're doing. When the then leader of NRP and the Premier of Nevis, imagine that, the leader of Nevis said to these youngsters, I have given you a road to do up in Brown Pasture. Go up there, go practice. Go practice, learn how to drive. Because the big work, you can't do it. I'm going to give that big work to others. And a Jamaican company came in, no disrespect to them, but they came in and they got all the work. When our local people were not given an opportunity. And I said we have to change that. That is no knock on our brothers and sisters across the region or from anywhere else in the world. We welcome people to come, and there will be opportunities for everyone. But where we have the chance, we must empower our people and have confidence in our people. This attitude that Nevis is small and the population is small, so we must stay in the back of the bus. I'm not riding in the back of the bus with anybody. And I want all the divisions to ride in the front of the bus. That is what we must be preaching to our people. And so I was happy to see the leader of NRP in the audience. Not coming with a placard to protest, but coming to support this project, which is so important. Because no matter who's in office tomorrow, the airport needs to be done. And we need to start to recognize some of these realities. People say, oh, this needs to be done and that needs to be done. When we propose solutions, the same people then try to denigrate, to pull it down, to be dismissive, to play to the fears of our people, not the hopes of our people. I am here as the leader of Nevis to play to our hopes, our dreams, our expectations. I want young people in Nevis to understand that they don't need to go to Dubai and London and Toronto. They don't need to go to New York. They can stay here in Nevis and they can achieve. They can compete with the rest of the world from right here in Little Oali. That has to be our message. But in order to do that, we need leadership. We need leadership in government, leadership in opposition, leadership in the church, leadership in the business places, leadership all across the length and breadth of this island in our schools. We need our people to encourage greatness in the visions. And that was my simple message tonight at this groundbreaking. It is not just about an airport. It's the aspiration of us as a people. It is about dreaming big dreams and achieving big things. And when we look at our history, we know we can do it. The Four Seasons Resort came here. The first Four Seasons built outside North America, I'm told, was the one built in Nevis. And I was speaking to some developers the other day who I'm working very hard to get to do a project here in Nevis. And those developers said they're from the Cayman Islands, and they said to me that Nevis and the Four Seasons set the standard for luxury in the region. It was Four Seasons Nevis that taught other hoteliers across the region that the Caribbean could have a luxury, an ultra luxury market. And he said that as they built out infrastructure in Cayman like the Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons became the standard, the gold standard that they all look to. That was done in Nevis. And when I speak to people at Four Seasons, you know what they said to me? That what makes Four Seasons Nevis special isn't the beauty, it's not the rooms and the decor, it's not the quality of the food, it's the service and the people of Nevis. That's what makes it special. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my appeal to our people as a premier of this island, let us aspire to greatness. Let us encourage greatness in each other. And let us stop this habit of denigrating and pulling down. Just tonight on the feed here for the show on Facebook, one person, because you know people are making comments live, so as we were listening to the song, one person said, oh, this and that needs to hang up his boots. And I said, why? Here's a man, a Calypsonian, who has been contributing for 51 years. The person who made the comment, I don't know them to have contributed anything to anything. But they're willing to say that somebody who has been doing this for 51 years, making their contribution. Now, it doesn't matter whether you like or you appreciate, you like the song or you don't like the song. He's here. He's present. He has demonstrated the kind of stick-to-itiveness, the love of country, the love of the art form that we should celebrate. And one of the things that pains me is that in this island sometimes, there's some who are so bent and steeped in negativity. They try their very best to drag down. That's all they do. And I go back to that airport. You tell me how any responsible leader before they even allow themselves to know what the project is about, lead a protest against it. Help me to understand that. Before you even know what the project is about, you lead a protest against the project. So when the airport is built, and by the grace of God, I'm hopeful that we can move speedily to get this airport done. Is it that you're not going to use it? And that is what I keep saying to our people. Listen, the politics will play. That is the nature of things. People will compete. They want to get into office. But let us compete on the basis of ideas. Let us compete on the basis of what our plan is for the country. And let us not start to say that something good is bad simply because it is a narrative that we need at that point in time. How do you protest against an airport development for Nevis when you don't even know what the content of the development looks like yet? And I see one of my good friends, they carry him out there, an elderly gentleman, and his son hot, and he over there standing up in the sun. And I say, Lord have mercy. So, well, the man gets sunstroke. Protesting against what? And that is the difficulty. Every time the government says development, people rush out and start to protest. Every time. I just today posted something on social media. Because the government of Nevis has spent significant sums in developing some of the areas in Nevis, Pinnins Beach, Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, the Bath Stream. Why have we spent that? We've spent that money, and I always say this in my speeches, in my public pronouncements. When we do a development, we do it for the people of Nevis. If visitors come and they can enjoy it too, wonderful. But what I do as Premier of Nevis, I do for the people of Nevis. So when you think about the Bath Stream, no bathroom there, no changing room. If you're there and Mother Nature calls, what you going to do? I said to the team, let us develop it. Sylvester Mead, he was the main guy. He came with the ideas. John Hanley supported, I supported. We worked together. We have created something truly beautiful. Parking, changing rooms, shaded areas, seating areas, a beautiful space where people can go and relax. We've created some rules. What do the people do? They go there. They mash up the board where the rules are on. They go in the pool. They take their soap, their shampoo, their scrub, their oil. They take all kinds of things. And when you say to our people, please, let us just follow the rules. Oh, nobody going to tell me what to do. That's the response. We got a complaint not so long ago that some safaris showed up with a group of tourists, and as the tourists are coming out to go and enjoy the facility, here comes a big hardback man, not a stitch of clothes on, stepping out of the pool. Hot noon sun. Hot noon sun. They say a poor old white lady, they say, oh my God, she almost fainted. I mean, we can do better. And when we talk about these things, people get upset with you and say, it's a Nevis. What does that mean? Does this mean Nevis mean that we can't have standards that we adhere to? That we can't be best in the world, best in class? And you see, that's part of the problem. So many people here show up late for events. Events start late and you hear the thing, this is a Nevis. What does that mean, this is a Nevis? Somehow, there are some who feel that because we're from this little island, we ought to accept mediocrity. We ought to hold on to certain things as somehow indicative of a culture, which is a culture of mediocrity. And I'm saying, no, we must aspire to greatness. We must be best in class. Not come last and say, well, this is an Nevis. No. That is why I encourage, and I'm so passionate about encouraging people. I was driving down the road there, coming just 5 mems, coming down the island main road. I see a man fling a bottle out of his window as he driving. It was a bus. Somebody in that bus flung a bottle out the bus. And I said, look at this. These are the same people who jump up and tell you, me ban ya. Me ban ya. Me a proud Nevision. Well, if you're a proud Nevision, act like it. Act like it. How are you going to be flinging garbage out of a moving vehicle? I walk at mornings in my neighborhood. And I'm continually having to pick up bottles, styrofoam food containers. People sit down on the side of the road, they eat, they just leave it there, they throw it out of the vehicle. Come on. That is not being the vision. That is not being the vision. I don't want you to tell me ban ya, and that is the way you're behaving. My neighbor string bury ya, and that is the way you're behaving, because it shows no love for Nevis. But there are some out there who want to encourage that. Tell you that that is what being the vision is. And I'm saying no. Being the vision is being great. And to be great, we must think great. We must act great. And that for me is important. So when we do what we do at the Bath Stream, we're doing it so everybody can come and enjoy. And you know the thing that bothers me, that some who are so opposed to following the rules, they try to personalize it and make it political. One woman said, nobody asked Mark and them to fix it up. Another lady called me and said to me that I know we only fix it up for white people. What is that supposed to mean? So local people, black people, don't use bathrooms and changing rooms. They don't want a place to sit in the shade. They don't want to go and get a little smoothie or something at the snack shop. They don't want any of that. We just, I believe, as a people need to, step up. Step up. Down at Pennies, so many have come and marveled at what we have created down there. I'm asking our people to protect it. But you go down there sometimes and the traffic down there, the way people have, they park anywhere, music blasting from their vehicles, man down there smoking weed, all kinds of things going on. Flinging trash out their car, littering. And I'm saying, listen, let us protect this. Let us protect what we have. When we invest for the benefit of our people. Let us work together to protect it. Too many of us, we don't even talk about the schools. We send in the maintenance team, they put in new windows, new doors, new furniture. Within a matter of weeks, destroyed. In the bathrooms, the toilets, the students are putting big stone. I want you all to listen to me carefully, Taking rocks and putting rocks into the toilets. These are the types of things that have happened and continue to happen. And I ask myself, what kind of homes these kids are coming out of? That they will be putting rocks in a toilet at the school. Mash it up. Then we have to go now and find money again to fix it. And all around you see that. The abuse of government vehicles. Drive government vehicles all day and night. Weekends. Park up at church. Why? Because again, some lack patriotism. They lack the understanding of what it must mean to be in a vision and to care about this island that we say we love. Well, if we say we love it, we must show that we love it. And we must do the things that demonstrate that we love this island. And part of that is giving of ourselves, and part of that is dreaming big dreams, and part of that is having big aspirations. And so for me, this airport project goes well beyond an airport. It speaks to who we are. Whether we're going to protest and fight against every element of progress that is proposed, or we're going to step up and encourage our people to take advantage of the opportunities and to take the commanding heights in this our country. That is what we must do. That is what we must look forward to. Now I could go on, but I have a very special guest who is now with me, and this is Dr. George, who is visiting from the great state of Georgia. And he has been here before, and the last time he was here, we broke the internet. It was, I'm told, the best show I've had in 20 years, so he has come back. We're delighted to have him back. Dr. George, if you can pull the mic a little closer to you so that everybody can hear you. Dr. George, welcome back to Nevis.
Thank you.
We're delighted to have you. Could you take some time and probably tell us about this mission that you're on and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yes, so we were here in January and we did our first lung cancer screening in Nevis, and I think it's probably one of the first lung cancer screening in the Caribbean. We worked with Dr. Twaits, and he was kind enough to let us kind of piggyback with him. So we saw 200 patients, 100 of them we screened to go get x-rays, and about 16 to 17 x-rays were done. So lung cancer screening is big. It's just in the U.S. it's the number 3 cancer. In the Caribbean it's less, but still it is a big killer. And so part of our screenings before was we talked, I think you and I talked about, was snoring, how when people snore, if they wake up tired, that's a silent killer. And so we added on now this time lung cancer screening to kind of push forward. And so part of the work we're doing this time is actually to look at some of the patients, look at some of the screening, and promote that continual screening, because screening now is what we want to teach to patients is screening is prevention. And we want to educate folks with that. And then this particular season also, you're getting the Sahara dust. So that was another respiratory component that it's affecting a lot of people. And so we wanted to make sure we address some of those issues too.
So I like the idea that screening is prevention, because I've never said it that eloquently, but I've been trying to make the point, and the health promotion unit here has been doing a lot of work to tell people, know their numbers, know their status. Tell us a little bit though about lung cancer, because the truth is that we hear a lot here about breast cancer, prostate cancer, forgive me. We have screenings for that. Lung cancer we don't hear as much about. And there is the feeling that many have that, hey, I don't smoke, so I don't need to worry about lung cancer. Tell us about lung cancer. For example, how prevalent? Is it treatable? Is it a cancer that is particularly deadly? I suppose all cancers are deadly, but some, as we know, are almost a death sentence when you get them. Some, like prostate, if it's detected early, you can beat it. And then what's the correlation with smoking and lung cancer?
So the way I teach patients is that in the U.S. now, there are a lot of regulations that are changing with ganja and marijuana, things like that. So the idea of smoking or inhaling anything into your lungs, whether it's an open pit fire, cigarettes, anything, starts to affect the lungs, and it starts to stimulate, abnormal cell growth. The sad thing about cancer is that there hasn't been effective screening. In the U.S., for example, when you turn 50, now 45, colon cancer, effectively, people know to go get a colonoscopy. And they have now chemical tests that you can actually, pass a stool and send it in for testing. But for lung cancer, it's a lot of the times it's incidental because it's found later in life when someone has had a chronic cough. So when we did the screening, we were looking for people who were smokers and people who actually had some sort of chronic cough. By the time lung cancer becomes an issue, somebody's been coughing up blood, they've had a cough that's not gone away, and that's when they're getting the chest x-rays. So I have been pushing to get chest x-rays done, but cost has been a barrier. So those numbers that we gave you, we saw 200 patients, we ordered 100 chest x-rays, and only 16 got x-rays. And when we went back and looked at it, the cost was the issue. So cost is an issue in screening that we're working to try to get it down. The other thing is that chest x-rays are not effective. They're good, but they're only good to about 1 centimeter. And lung cancer starts much, much smaller. So the detection is a CT, and we do have a CT here in Nevis. And so I'm trying to push to get that screening done where we can use the CT more effectively and move in that. In the U.S., we have something called a calcium score test that looks at the heart and looks at calcifications in the heart, but that also picks up lung nodules. So something like that, something cheap, something easy to get access to is important.
What are some of the things then you would say to us? I just mentioned a lot of our youngsters now are using marijuana. It's become a problem in the sense that a lot of times it's being used in public spaces. The police have now started to crack down, to issue tickets and the like. But smoking, I think smoking traditional cigarettes and tobacco products isn't as prevalent. But what we found is a huge rise in smoking of marijuana. You're saying that the inhalation of any kind of chemical into your lungs is probably bad for you.
And actually, it's the other killer is a secondhand smoke. So, back in the 80s, when we would sit in airplanes, we would have the back end of the plane was heavy of smoke. People who had spouses who would smoke heavily, they would get cancer. So even secondhand smoke is you're inhaling someone else's cigarettes, and that is getting into the lungs, and that can cause cancer. So when we talk to patients, and smoking was a it was an in thing. It was, when you went to a party, you either had a drink in your hand and a cigarette, in your other hand. And, it was a Marlboro Man. It was a Virginia Slims person. So it was very much part of our culture.
Sure.
And so that culture started to change, but the cigarette companies were making a lot of money. So if you travel to Europe now, you see young kids smoking cigarettes. It's very open. But in other countries, in the U.S. too, smoking marijuana has now become a very kind of normal thing. And the problem with marijuana is that it's not filtered, so they roll it. And so when it's not filtered, you're getting more inhalants. So I tell patients, if you are smoking anything or you're inhaling anything, if you're working in front of an open pit fire, you really need to protect your lungs. COVID made that change a little bit because people became more respiratory aware, but I think still it's quite prevalent there. And
So tell me about this concept called vaping, because I notice a lot
Yes.
of youngsters as well using this. It looks like a machine to me, something
Yeah,
that they're
so-
sucking on. Yeah.
So what vaping has done is they have disguised the cigarette to look like a pencil, look like a small device, and the smoke is much, much more or less. But it's still a device that electrocutes a chemical, and you're inhaling something. And what vaping has done is it allows the industry to put anything in there. So some of the vapes that have a flavor to it, like apple flavor, cherry flavor, are actually more carcinogenic than cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
And so vaping has become popular because it's now become the style. Kids are able to smoke in schools and get away with it. Teachers don't see it. So, we have to educate at that level. We have to push it and, tell them that still you're inhaling something and it's not healthy for you.
Good. Well, Dr. George, welcome back again. I would like to have an opportunity at some point during the show to open the lines and to see. I'm assuming you have some time with us.
Yes, yeah, of
okay.
course. Yeah, yeah,
So
we're
you're here with us. I want to hear a little bit about the Summer Discovery
Okay.
program, because I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've looked at medicine and healthcare, and in the U.S. we have a huge problem of burnout. And so what we've done is we wanted to start education much, much more earlier, like in the high school period. So this time what we did is we brought one medical student and one high school student, and they're going to do some of the volunteer work. So sitting across me is my son, and so he's a 16-year-old. And so, my dad sent me to work when I was 16, and I said, well, why don't you come to work? Why don't you, do some work in this field, see what you like. And so when he started to work in our office, he saw how much appreciation the patients have. And it built his strength up. The patients would ask him questions. His voice had to be strong. And so he started to understand very, very early on how to interact with people. Because healthcare is about people interaction.
sure.
And it's about education. And once you can manage how to interact with people, you can educate them and, relate through. The other person we brought was a medical student. They're at the very cusp of starting school, and they're about to get hit with tons of material. So also from them, a work standpoint, very early on, if they come out and do some volunteer work. So we brought her too. She's sitting outside with us.
So I'm so sorry. I didn't know that, because it would have been nice to have them on air as well. But so you're going to have to carry the load for everybody.
Yes, yes,
The entire
very
team. But I'm told here that the hope is really to inspire future physicians and nurses, respiratory therapists. The whole gamut of
Yes.
persons involved in pulmonary care, essentially.
Yeah, and what's happening is that there's a big change occurring right now is where we are living longer. So people are living well into the 80s, and so there's a huge healthcare burden of chronic diseases. And so we need more people to help, but more importantly, we need more people to educate. And I think that burden is where it needs to start very early in education.
Dr. George, tell us a little bit about prevention, because it's a message. Here in Nevis, obviously, we are not a wealthy island in terms of government and government's resources. Our elders used to tell us that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yes.
In healthcare here, we try to change it a bit. We say $1 of prevention is worth $1 million of cure. I think a lot of emphasis is being placed in Nevis now on community health, on health outside the sort of hospital setting. The idea is that if we can delay the onset of illness, if we can have our people lead healthier lifestyles, then it lowers the cost to us long term of having to try to cure people after they become ill. We all know that medicine is pretty expensive.
Yes.
and treating people. You have people, for example, with kidney failure. That's incredibly expensive to keep those persons alive, getting 3 and 4 treatments of dialysis every week, as the case may be. So through our health promotion unit here, we have been preaching prevention. We've been saying, and you notice here in Nevis that every celebration, every community thing, there's always a tent.
Yes.
We have a pop-up where people come and they get their blood pressure, they get their blood glucose, they get their BMI. All of that is done there. What would you say to the people of Nevis in relation to prevention?
So prevention is to live well. It's to sleep well, to be active. The term that's been put out there, the blue zoners, they've looked at different areas in the world where people are living long, and it's very basic ideas that they have a set schedule of how they live. They're eating unprocessed foods. They're doing a certain amount of activities. The stress level is much less. They're sleeping well. Like I do a lot of pulmonary and sleep, and so we teach a lot of sleep. And prevention is also a lot of maintaining your health and weight loss. Weight has been a big issue, and recently, actually today, Medicare has released the GLP medications, which a lot of people are hearing now the buzz of, these semaglutides for the weight loss medications and stuff. So there is a big need in prevention and how to live well, how to do it. And one of the biggest things we have now is we're able to screen much, much earlier. But we're also seeing diabetes in much, much younger generation because of increase in weight, poor eating habits. You're seeing stress and psychological changes much, much earlier. So these components of managing your life, sleeping well, exercising, it's very, very important. And I think that's something we have to educate very early on. But it's also important that we screen, and early screening is very important. The colon cancer screening, breast cancer screening, so for us the lung cancer screening, trying to catch the diseases much, much earlier and educate people about it. I think that's very important too. So smoking is a very classic, simple, straightforward concept that 80% of lung cancer is related to smoking.
80% is as high as that.
It's pretty high, but yet when you talk to a smoker, and a person who's smoking a long time and ask them to stop smoking, it's an education component because there's a behavior. The cigarette doesn't talk back to you. A lot of smokers sit in the car quietly and they smoke. There's nicotine there. There's a habit. So, that component there is where we have to kind of educate folks and start to say, hey, these habits have to break, Eating. Same thing. Eating is a stress disorder to some degree. People do a lot of stress eating. So you get weight gain. So these kind of preventions is where we have to kind of nip it in the bud very, very early, very young, at very young ages, and push it forward. Once you make good habits, then those habits can stay there, but it takes 90 days to make a good habit.
But I want to just spend a moment more on that, because we have here in Nevis a school meals program, because we recognize that, like you say, nutrition and good nutrition, it needs to start early. And I will share with you that one of the difficulties we've had with that school meals program is we had one of our school meals coordinators who was seeking to have more nutritious, more natural foods. So we would use the local pumpkin and the local bananas and the local, and some parents pull their children out of the school meals program because they want their children to have pizza and chicken, fried chicken and French fries. That for them is what their child eats. And so where we were trying to push this idea of healthier meals, having the children eat essentially from the land, we were partnering with our farmers and getting natural, locally grown food. The parents were the ones who actually said, no, my child don't eat yam, my child don't eat green banana, my child eat chicken and chips, and my child eat pizza. And so, and I tell you that part of it has been, in my opinion, the media. Because just as you mentioned the Marlboro Man, and always so sophisticated, and was a bit of a ladies' man and all of this thing, the media has glorified certain things, and so there are a lot of people here who equate success, equate progress, equate upward mobility with what they eat. And so if they can eat certain foods, they feel like they have made it in life. And it's interesting. I was at a restaurant in New York City some years ago, and it was a very expensive restaurant. And when I looked at the menu, one of the most expensive dishes on the menu was something called free-range chicken. And this free-range chicken was like, I don't know, $60 or whatever for the entree. And I said, well, You know, and I started laughing at the table, and this guy says to me, "Why are you laughing?" And I said, "Because what they're saying at this very expensive restaurant in New York as free-range chicken, we used to call it yard fowl. In Nevis," I said, "these are the chickens that were growing up in the yard, and we would chase them and catch them to have them for dinner." And it is interesting because that was considered what poor people did. As soon as Nivision started to make some money, started to become a bit more affluent, nobody ate yard fowl anymore. You now went to the supermarket and you bought your chicken in the supermarket. The only problem was that chicken was coming in containers. Nobody had any idea what was in that chicken. I have commented publicly on some of the legs you get are bigger than my legs. That doesn't look normal for a chicken. And then when we start to research on how these things are bred, how they're dealt with, you realize that in fact you've traded something that was wholesome and that was good for you for something that is entirely bad for you. But it's, in a way, it's been ingrained, you know. So you see the ads for the KFC and the whatever, and you say, "Oh, so that's what you do when you have money."
And that's a perception. Like my son is laughing because in our house, so I grow chickens. We have chickens in Atlanta. We live in the city and we have chickens. They're well fed. They're taken care of. But my wife will go buy the chickens from Publix that says free-range chickens. But when I bring the eggs in-house, we won't eat the eggs. So I end up giving my chicken eggs to my staff. And so there is a perception there that the eggs that we buy from the grocery store is better than what we have in the backyard.
Right.
And the same idea that is with the, I think here and in other places, the brown bag. When you bring the lunch from home, because it's in a brown bag, it looks like you're kind of a lower class. And so I think that perception has to change. A lot of schools have started at very, very young ages having gardens, having vegetable gardens in the school where the kids grow that. They learn how to grow plants and vegetables and stuff, and then they they eat from that. And that has actually grown pretty well. And those co-op programs, and I think that's where we have to teach kids at a very, very young age.
But I do take the point that there's a huge element of education that's necessary here. And I use the example of our school meals program because I was really shocked that some parents took the decision to take their children out of the program because they didn't like the food that was being served. So that is rather interesting. So now you're here on this mission. How long will you be here for this occasion?
We're actually going to stay through till Monday.
To Monday. So I should get a plug in that the Mango Festival starts
we'll
tomorrow. So do you like mangoes? Okay. So we're hoping to see you at the Mango Festival. That starts tomorrow. It runs through Sunday.
Okay.
And there are a host of activities. So if people out there want to know, go to www.nevismangofest.com. www.nevismangofest.com. It is an incredible celebration of mangoes and a culinary celebration, really. And there are lots of fun activities that are organized. There are dinners with specialty chefs. All the restaurants are going to be doing something with us mango infused. And then on Sunday we have the grand event at the MGR Park where they have basically, I think we're going to have 60 chefs who are all going to have different stations. And once you enter, you basically go around and sample the various stations. And then it ends with a grand concert on Sunday evening. So it looks like it's going to be a fun time. But you didn't come here to talk about mangoes. You came here to tell us what you're going to be doing while you're here on island.
So we're spending 2 days in the hospital.
Okay.
So and the other one day is going to be for new patients. The other day is going to be for follow-up patients that we saw, and also CPAP. So a lot of the CPAP and sleep apnea patients that we started the program here, they're going to be coming there too. The third day we're going to be working with the Four Seasons staff. And that way, a lot of patients there have had a lot of sinus issues. So we're going to be kind of overlapping a little bit into some of the ENT issues because it seems that Nevis has a lot of sinus issues from a lot of Sahara dust and a lot of the changes and stuff in pollen. So we're going to assist. And a lot of the ENT issues affect the lungs because you get a lot of postnasal drip, a lot of congestion and stuff into the lungs. So we're going to work a little bit with some of the ENT issues too.
So you're doing screening and you're doing follow-ups as well?
Yes.
Okay. Just so those out there who want to get screened, they want to have a conversation, they may not be sleeping so well, they're snoring a lot, how can they access
they can either go
care?
through the hospital and they can get. I think they can go through the hospital too. They have a system there that's set up there, and they can get the clinics. And we're doing twice a year, and then in between the two events, we'll have telehealth, which that has helped a little bit too. So we can, if there's any new referrals and stuff like that, we can use telehealth and communicate with them and set up the appointments.
Okay, good. Dr. George, again, welcome. For those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Mark Brantley, and this is On the Mark. And we have with us a return visitor, Dr. George. He and his team are here in Nevis. He's a pulmonologist who is doing volunteer work from the great state of Georgia. And he has come to be with us and to offer his services to the people of Nevis. Every time I snore now, I get scared. My wife nudges me and says, you're snoring again. So we all need to lose some weight. We all need to get a bit healthier. We need to eat healthier. We need to get up, get out, and get moving. We need to exercise. We need to do the right things. And so he's here to help us to talk about prevention, but also to say to us, to pass on some of the knowledge that he has. And we know that a lot of illnesses is behavioral. He mentions smoking. And for those ganja smokers out there, he's basically saying that any smoke, any type of inhalation, it affects your lungs negatively. So even if it's an open fire, a lot of people argue that marijuana is natural. It's a plant. So therefore it doesn't affect you that way. But I think what we're hearing from the expert tonight is that anything that you inhale that goes into your lungs has the potential to cause difficulties. And tonight, quite an alarming statistic that 80% of lung cancer is connected with smoking. And it's not only people who smoke, it's also those who do not smoke but are in the area and therefore would inhale what is referred to as secondhand smoke. That too is quite dangerous. So Dr. George, what I'm going to try to do is open the lines.
Okay.
There may or may not be people who want to talk to us.
Okay.
Sometimes people are kind and they call in. Other times they make me talk for 2 hours, so we'll see how this goes. But the lines are going to be open now at 869-469-1616 and 1700. Let's go straight to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
I would like to ask the doctor a question.
Sure.
For the first time,
Wait, hang on a second. He's getting his earphones on. Can you hear, Doc?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
for the first time patient, what do they have to do to be get an appointment?
So for this visit, we're in the Alexandra Hospital, so we can either go through Dr. Thompson or Dr. Hobson there, or any of the staff there. We're there Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon.
Thursday afternoon?
And Friday afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
So caller, just contact the hospital and they'll try to sort you out, okay? We're taking calls at 869-469-1616 and 1700. We have about 45 minutes, so we're going to try to get as many calls in as possible. While the phones are ringing again, so let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
All thy works shall praise thee, O Lord, and their saints shall bless thee. They shall speak of the glory, the kingdom, and talk of the power, to make known to thee men that mighty set and the glorious majesty of the kingdom. Have a good evening.
Well, you didn't even tell us where you're reading from.
Psalm 146, verse 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay, my dear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I like to ask the doctor, the last time he was there, and I asked the question about eating pretty late, and that was help cause, I forget what the sickness is, whatever, but it's not supposed to be eating too late at night.
Yes, you're supposed to eat before 7 o'clock because your body needs time to digest the food. So if you don't digest that food, two things can happen. Sometimes you can aspirate so food comes up, and also your metabolism slows down so that your weight picks up more. So you really want to have early meals. The idea is to have, you eat like a king, you eat like a prince, and then your dinner should be eating like a pauper. Your dinner should be the smallest meal.
So your big meal should be breakfast.
Yes.
That's when you eat like a king.
Yeah,
Like
eat
a king.
breakfast, yeah.
And then you eat like a prince at lunch.
Yes.
And you eat like a pauper at dinner.
Yes.
Right, a little thing.
You get that?
Yeah, I know. Have a good evening.
And make sure you eat before 7.
May I will do it before 7.
Okay, all right, my dear. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dr. George, I think that's interesting because in my life, and I have a crazy schedule, but I have so many dinner meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So there are always meetings over dinner. And, dinners tend to be a heavier meal, frankly. So it's interesting. And so those out there who are listening, the doc is saying eat a big breakfast, eat a lighter lunch, and have just something very small before you go to bed if you want to look slim and trim. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Good night to you, Honorable Brantley.
Yes, good evening to you. Go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yes, good night, and to the doctor there. I'm reading from Psalm 91, and I'm reading 5 verses. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be the shield and the buckler. Then thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Here endeth the reading of the scripture. May the Lord add his richest blessing unto it. And good night. Love always.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your scripture as always. We're taking your calls, 869-469-1616 and 1700. We have with us Dr. George, who's a pulmonologist. He's visiting from Georgia, the great state of Georgia in the United States. He's part of a team that has been coming now for some time, twice a year, to offer free services to the people of Nevis in terms of pulmonary disease, pulmonary conditions. He's an expert, anything to do with breathing and the lungs. He's been doing testing for lung cancer. And we really are trying to leverage our relationship with people like Dr. George to provide better health care to the people of Nevis. I want to have thanked him many times, but I want to thank him publicly again this evening because he doesn't have to do this. And I remind people all the time that there are many people who are positioned in a way that they don't have to do anything. When people step outside of their regular routine, their regular lives, to make a contribution, we ought to say thank you. So, Dr. George, thank you on behalf of the people of Nevis for what you're doing. We thank Ursula. She's camera shy, so she's never here with us. But we thank Ursula Phillip because Ursula has been a driving force behind getting people to come. And we're very grateful for that because your expertise has brought invaluable support to so many here. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good night, Honorable Man.
Yes, you're on the air, brother. Go ahead.
Yes, good night. I would like to ask the doc, all those people who does be out there doing jog, chicken, and so, they can be affected with the smoke also too?
The people who are doing, like, we have a lot of people who do chicken, like on the grill.
Yes, yeah.
Chicken and all that, yeah.
Yeah, because you're still burning something. So if you're a barbecue person, always burning, always cooking something like that, you're still inhaling a lot of that fumes. So it is a risk. A lot of people barbecue just occasionally, so I think it's something safe. But if that's your livelihood and that's what you're doing, there is a risk there.
And what is the difference between the cigarette smoking and the marijuana smoking? Is those two things is different to each other? Because the rest of them must say smoking is good.
Yeah, so anytime you smoke anything, you're putting fumes into your lungs. That's the best way to think about it. So whether you're lighting, like a ganja, or you're lighting a pipe, anything. Some people say they smoke a pipe and they only keep it in their mouth, but that smoke is still going down into your lungs. So it's very important to just understand it from that aspect, that anytime you're inhaling something, whether it's a cigarette or marijuana, it's still dangerous.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
No problem.
You're still there? Oh, I missed you. When you call back in, I need to know if you'll snore when nighttime come, because the doctor told me I'm snoring and that means something is wrong. So we really need to pay attention to our health. I'm also encouraging our people out there to get checked. Doc, we're realizing something happening in Nevis where a lot of younger people are getting things like kidney failure, end stage. We're seeing persons in their 30s, 40, who have end stage renal failure. And the sense is that some of that might be due to the fact that our people are simply not taking advantage of the opportunities to get tested. There's a sense here in our culture that when you're young, that you're healthy, nothing is going to go wrong. And we know that some diseases take time, but if they get into your system, they're not detected, and over time they can do tremendous damage. We also have very, very high incidences here of what we refer to as NCDs, non-communicable diseases, hypertension, obesity, diabetes. We have a lot of that here. It's quite prevalent. And then a lot of what we do in terms of our diet, people here eat a lot of fried foods, they eat a lot of, rice and, the usual drill. So the question is really, how can we encourage our people to do more in terms of getting checked, going to the hospital? The government here has been really trying. As I say, we have these pop-ups all across the island. Whatever is happening, Culture Arm is coming. There's going to be a pop-up where people can get tested. So I'm just curious if you can just hold that. We go to the phones and then come back. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Yes, a good night to you, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening to you.
And your guest. Just a few comments. I want to touch on the non-communicable diseases.
Yes. Which
are our problem. Which are our biggest problem.
Yes.
And I think it's where we need to focus. We can do a lot of things. We do have some things that we allow in this country, the white flour and the white rice and all these high starchy things that we need to put some control mechanisms on them, whether it is to be heavy tax or a ban, because there are a lot of things that we can do that would encourage our people to eat healthier. I remember that school meals program. I remember working with a person who was in charge of that, and I felt some of the kickbacks. But however, there are a lot of things that we ban and a lot of things that we place restrictions on, and so I think doing something like that for the betterment and the health of our nation is quite warranted. There are too many things in our supermarkets and that we allow to come into this country that are detrimental to our health, and we all know that. I also want to touch on some information that we got when the CMO, the Chief Medical Officer, did some studies and some research and some survey here in St. Kitts Nevis, which highlighted to us that our major problem with our youth is the consumption of alcohol. According to the statistics, the consumption and the use of cannabis was nowhere close to the use of alcohol, and the youth started at an earlier age. And as far as I know, there's no real law against a child consuming alcohol.
No, I don't think that's accurate, caller, because we even have laws banning children from purchasing alcohol.
Well, that is different, Mr. Brantley. The purchasing alcohol depends on the person who's selling the alcohol. But if a child is caught drinking a beer, what can the law do to that child?
Not to the child, but who gave the child the beer?
Oh, okay, well, that has to be proven.
Well, everything has to be proven.
Okay.
But so the bottom line is, I'm just saying it's inaccurate to say that there's nothing against it, because there is. The fact that people will do it anyway, or people hide and do it, it doesn't mean that it changes the reality. So I'm just saying that if we're going to speak, this will be accurate. I get the point you're making.
Well, but let me stress the point, because it is not that there's no law against children getting alcohol. What I'm saying is there's no law against a child consuming alcohol. There may be something against the person who sells the child, or the parents, some negligence or something.
Right.
But that particular child who consumes the alcohol, we need to work on that. Because the statistics will show that we are paying a lot of attention on cannabis, unwarranted attention on cannabis, when we have the greater issues. Now, we must remember that over the years, cannabis has been seriously outlawed. So no research, no one was putting up money to do any positive research on cannabis to prove the good effects of cannabis. So that's why everything we're hearing is the bad, the bad, the bad. Whereas our country now has has moved to decriminalize cannabis for medicinal use with some 30 plus issues, diseases, problems. You know, so there is some good use in it.
So, caller, wait, wait, just give me a minute. I don't want us to be misunderstood. I don't think that anybody, and certainly Dr. George, I didn't hear him it wasn't any attack on cannabis or cannabis users, because he even said if you're doing barbecue, if there's an open pit fire, as a pulmonologist, he's saying that once you inhale into your lungs any type of burnt material, whether it's a cigarette, whether it's ganja, whether it's from the barbecue pit, whether it is an open fire, whether you're burning bush, once you inhale that, he's saying that it can have a negative impact on your lungs. So it's not a conversation about cannabis. I don't want us to go down that road, because you know where I stand in relation to cannabis. So nobody's condemning cannabis. I think it's a broader discussion about lung health, lung cancer, pulmonary health, and saying to our people, listen, there can be certain triggers that could lead to, if you will, a dilution of your capacity in terms of your lung capacity. And so that really is the conversation we're trying to have this evening.
And that is the conversation I'm having, because what I'm proving is that the emphasis that is placed on cannabis, because I heard it tonight, is not warranted, because even the perfume that you wear, the aerosol spray, these are things that are more detrimental to someone smoking cannabis. And so the education is needed, because quite often we see a great emphasis, because I can tell you tomorrow morning that's the majority of things people are going to remember, you know. So I think that we need to also realize that the information, the dangers that are put on cannabis is unwarranted. There is a saying in terms of, you know, what you consume and how you consume. There are ways in which our people can cleanse their bodies from anything, any kind of smoke inhalation. There are a lot of different herbs that we can use that can clean our lungs. Now, what I want to see is more emphasis put on acceptance of what we call natural medicine. I think the pharmaceutical world has shut down the use and the encouragement of natural medicine, which could actually heal our people just as effective of anything else. But I see the economics taking the priority, and I'm saying we need to focus more on all those natural things that can cure us for many of the problems that we have. I'll continue to listen.
Okay, well, my brother, thank you. I think, you know, I think I recognize the voice. And yeah,
no.
yes. And
blessings.
All right, blessings. And
You know, this call is an advocate.
This call is an advocate for cannabis and cannabis use. I just want to emphasize that the show really isn't about that tonight. It's really, and I think the caller that we had before this one, who made the point that even those guys who are doing barbecue, grilled pork, grilled chicken, doing the jerk chicken, whatever, that if they continue to inhale that smoke, it can have a negative impact. So really it's about lung health and how we can protect our lungs. He does make a point about alcohol, and I think that's a fair point, because he is correct that we have widespread abuse of alcohol. We have a lot of youngsters who are drinking a lot of alcohol, and the effects of that are still, I think, not being documented enough in terms of what's happening with our youth and the use and abuse of alcohol. Is that, for example, leading to, you know, psychiatric problems and you know, problems in people's relationships and the like? What's happening there? So that might arguably be a different conversation, but he is correct in that we do have, I think, to pay attention to all of the triggers that can impact our health. But I would say to the caller that we should be able, as Nevis and as human beings, to walk and chew gum. So we can say that inhalation of smoke, including cannabis smoke, is potentially damaging to your lungs, while also saying that we need to look at alcohol and what alcohol is doing in the community, while also encouraging our people to eat properly, to exercise, to do all those things. So it's a complete package of messages. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and the thing is, what you said is it's education, screening, and prevention, and it starts at a very, very early age. So when we talk about anything alcohol, long-term use of alcohol causes liver cancer. You know, it causes and organ damage. It causes kidney issues. So again, it's the same thing. Any toxin that goes into the body after a long-term use can cause damage to the body. For smoke, it's lung cancer. And for alcohol, it's liver cancer. We see that. But ultimately, it's the screening for that and the prevention and education, and also the perception, right? The Marlboro Man, how, you know, he was considered a cool guy, and smoking was cool. And it's the same thing. We've also looked at alcohol as, you know, the consumption or the overconsumption of alcohol it's okay, and that's there in many cultures. So that's something that, you know, we have to educate very, very early on. It's not okay.
So I heard it said the other day, you heard two ladies call in and read scriptures. We are a very religious community.
Yes, I appreciate
and
it.
I heard someone say to me the other day that alcohol is good. And I said, why? Because they said that was Jesus' first miracle. That of all the things Jesus could have done, he didn't raise the dead, he didn't cure the sick, he turned water into wine. And then we had a debate about whether that wine had alcohol or not. You know, some say it was grape juice. I don't know what the answer is, but I thought that was quite an interesting response, that alcohol is there. And then, you know, we had the saying here, to take a little wine for the sake of your stomach. I think that what we need to accept is that nearly everything which done to excess is bad for us. And I don't think that the message tonight is you can't have a glass of wine with dinner. But I think that the situation of people who are overdoing it, who are having alcohol every day, that it has an impact, it has an effect. And I want the public to understand that as the Premier of Nevis, we are spending more and more money on individuals who have really lived their lives in a particular way. So you're out and you're having fun, you're drinking, you're smoking, you're doing all the things that you're doing. If I were to come along and said, you know, you should do less of that, they say, you're getting into my business, you know, you need to mind your own business. I'm an adult and I can do what I want to do. But then when the kidney fails, then when the liver fails, then when the lungs fail, whose responsibility? It becomes the government's responsibility. So in a way, individual behavior then becomes everybody's responsibility to deal with the consequences of that individual behavior. So in a way, I think I encourage people to be responsible, and I think that's what really it comes down to. So, can you share with us, Dr. George, so you've been coming now for, this is what, your fifth or sixth trip?
Yeah, fifth. This is our fifth time.
Fifth time here, and over the past 3 years.
Yes.
So, what have you seen? Have you seen any trends in that period of time? Are people, in your opinion, who you're seeing getting better, getting healthier? Are they heeding your instructions and your guidance?
Yes, I think people are very interested in respiratory care. I think that education is there. I think because the population is small here and you don't have any pulmonologists, there's a big component of education that we still have to do. Whether it's sleep apnea, whether it's the effects of smoking, whether it's also other respiratory diseases that are out there that's untapped, just because with respiratory issues, until you are coughing or you have shortness of breath or you have a reason to get a chest x-ray or some sort of imaging, it really sometimes is masked. It's kept underneath. And so now we're seeing more and more of it because people are living longer. So as they're living longer, they're starting to get some of those diseases, including lung cancer that shows up.
Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mark. I think you mentioned tonight about and also prevention is better than a whole pound of pure. But what I understand from the caller before, he's saying there are things that can clean your lungs. So when you're telling me you smoke what you like or eat what you like and then you get things to clean your lungs, that's what I'm understanding. I don't know.
You're saying the caller is saying there are things that can clean your lungs, and you're speaking a little quickly. So could you go back over what you're saying?
Okay, he's saying that there are things that can clean your lungs. They are natural things that can clean them.
Yes.
So I want to understand. If he's saying that you could smoke, I know he's representing cannabis, if you could smoke what you want or eat what you want and then you find things to clean your lungs.
Ah, okay. I got what you're saying.
Because an ounce of prevention is better than a whole pound of cure.
Yeah, got you. Got you. I got the point. I'm not sure if that's what he was saying, but I understand what you're saying.
That's what I want to understand. If that's what he's saying.
So you're really encouraging prevention as well.
Prevention, yes.
Yes.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. Yeah. Okay. Because not always you're going to be able to cure your lungs. Not always you might be lucky to get it cured.
Got you.
When it happens already.
Got you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's a good point that's made, and it's interesting when we speak and the way that information is received. And this lady is saying that she thought that one of the earlier callers was saying, you know, smoke as much as you want, because then you have natural things that you can do to clean your lungs. I'm interested, though, Dr. George, in construction.
Okay.
So there's a tremendous level of construction happening on Nevis at this time. And, you know, we have people who are working with cement, they're working with construction dust, they're doing all of this. Can construction and the inhalations that happen around the construction site have an impact on the lungs?
Yes, it can. And it's with construction stuff, it's silica. Like the dust doesn't break down. So when you're working out there every day in a construction site, you need to wear a mask. People are working with sheetrock. Sheetrock is also, it's a very fine dust. When they're working with a sheetrock, it gets into the lungs. It's not, it starts to build up in the lungs over a year. So a person who's doing 20, 30 years work like that, they'll start to lose lung function. Now, they may not recognize it because they may not be conditioned, but over a period of time, those determinants can also cause lung cancer, and it's been shown that. And there are other diseases also out there because it's hard to clean the lungs when you get those type of materials in there. So anyone in the construction business, you should wear a mask. I think that's important.
So I want to repeat, anyone in the construction business, you should wear a mask. Now that is coming from a pulmonologist who's saying that when you inhale construction dust, cement, you're dealing with sheetrock, that you can in fact get lung disease from that. So the good thing is to wear a mask. In fact, when I spent some time in New York City, I used to have, you know, be around construction, people doing sheetrock. They always used to wear that mask because, as you said, the dust can be quite fine. It gets into your system without you even knowing. So that's very good advice. And so people out there, please wear masks. I know even during COVID, people were reluctant to wear masks. They argued over it, but again, these are just things about educating our people and our people understanding that this can actually help them physically and help them have a better quality of life and live a longer life.
And especially with dust, when you do construction, whether you're breaking down houses or building houses and stuff, there's also a lot of mold. And mold is another issue too that can get into the lungs and can cause different types of respiratory infections and diseases. So you definitely want to wear a mask anytime you're doing any of these type of jobs because it just protects that lungs.
Tell me about, and I mean, I'm asking a lot of questions tonight, but the numbers to call, those out there, we have 20 minutes left. You can still get in. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Dr. George and I are talking to each other, but if you have something to say or you have a question, please feel free to call in. And remember that the Mango Festival starts tomorrow and it runs until Sunday. So all of you people in St. Kitts, Nevis came over and we're there for the music festival, and we know the usual. You come over to us for the Mango Festival, and then you come back for Culturama, and then we come down for Sugar Mass. That's the way it goes. So we encourage all of our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, those who are listening in Antigua, Montserrat, Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, wherever you are, Nevis is a place to be this weekend for the Nevis Mango Festival. Dr. George, I wanted to go a bit further in terms of the conversation about certain jobs. There are people here who also do things like housekeeping. You know, they're cleaning hotels, they're cleaning people's homes. Are there any concerns there? The chemicals that they use, for example, are there any concerns there?
So with the chemicals you're using there, you really want to use safe chemicals. We have a lot of patients back in Georgia that do a lot of house cleaning with, you know, there's a lot of hairstylists. Some of the hairstylists use a lot of chemicals there. They're all carcinogens. I mean, they can cause problems in the lungs. So when you're working with those type of chemicals, a lot of these chemicals trigger asthma exacerbations. So we have a lot of folks that come in for asthma exacerbations. If you're working close to chemicals, if you can smell it, you should wear a mask. I think that's important.
So we're talking about hairdressers. Yep. We're talking about people who work cleaning homes or housekeepers. We're talking about people working in construction. And as you say, if you can smell the chemical, then it makes sense for you to wear a mask.
And then also people who are working in farms. So if you're working with hay, you're working with chicken coops. They have a lot of fine dust that gets into the lungs. When I go into my chicken coop, I don't wear a mask, but when I'm cleaning it, I do, because I'm aware the dust is there, and you can see that haze. And those can cause infections, that can cause cancer, they can cause respiratory diseases. So you want to make sure you're protected. And a mask is a very simple. We learned in COVID that the effects of respiratory masks makes a big difference, and so that habit became evolved, and then it kind of came off of it a little bit. But we're now comfortable seeing people wear masks. So I think it's a good education opportunity to continue to have that.
Okay, well, let's try to take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Yes, I need to ask the doc a question.
Sure.
For the construction workers, is there a recommended test or checkup that they could perform to make sure that their lungs stay healthy, or what is his recommendation?
That's a good question. So what we do is we do something called a pulmonary function test. There's a smaller test called a spirometer. So you can actually do breathing tests that looks at the airflow and how well the lung is performing. The other thing you can also do is that if you suspect something, you can get a chest x-ray. A simple chest x-ray is a picture of the lungs, and it's pretty good at telling whether there's an issue or any sort of damage to the lungs. So two ways. One is looking at the airflow, and the other one is taking a picture. So if go ahead.
You're saying there's no recommended time, say, for the construction worker to do an X-ray or do the spirometry test during in their line of work?
Yeah,
they have to work in
the standards haven't been put there. In the U.S., for example, we have like firefighters who are always exposed to smoke, even though they're wearing masks. So they're required to do pulmonary function tests once a year and test their lungs. Construction is not so much they haven't done, but I think it's recommended. You should do it because you're exposed to a lot of materials. I think it's important to do that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Cole. I think that was an excellent question because, people who now are out there and listening, they're saying, well, should I go in and do a test? Mm-hmm. And so you're saying doing the chest x-ray is helpful, doing a CT is helpful. This other test that you describe, a pulmonary...
It's a pulmonary function test. It's a breathing test.
Okay.
When you do the test, you're kind of blowing, and it's checking how well the air is moving through your lungs, is the best way to say it. And you hit a certain number. So if you're 75% to 80%, you have good pulmonary function flow. And that for our asthma patients, the COPD patients, a lot of them when they see us, that's our initial test to see how good they're doing, and that's a good way of kind of getting a basis of it.
Okay, so some of the lessons then that I think from tonight thus far is if people are involved in certain lines of work. I'm so happy you mentioned hairdressing because a lot of people do that.
Yes.
Here. Some people who even work full time, they do that as a part-time sort of income earner. But you're saying that they have to be mindful. Now, the question that occurs to me as you talk about a mask is there any particular type of mask?
Good question. Mm-hmm. So there's the N95 mask was what was standardized, which is a really heavy mask. But your standard COVID masks that you can buy is what I think you should at least wear at the minimum if you're working in any sort of environment that you're exposed to any sort of inhalants. Those are easy masks. They have a metal wire that goes over the nose, and it controls most of the dust and microns that come through. So,
ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, again, you wear a mask. If you're at the salon, you work at a beauty salon, you're dealing with hair, you're dealing, I assume, with nails as well, because you have the acrylic, you have all of that. The chemicals, once you can smell them, you wear a mask. If you're out there and you're smoking, please cut back. If you are inhaling secondhand smoke, if you're working construction, all of this is, I think, we're being told of just a simple practical matter of wearing a mask that can help in terms of those lines of work that some people are involved in. I'm happy that I asked a question about construction because I said the island right now is going through quite a boom in terms of construction. It's happening all across the island. And so that's a critical part of what we're doing, again, in trying to educate and trying to prevent. Going back to that statement that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We're taking calls. We have 15 minutes left on the show, so let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening.
Yes, you're on the air. Go
Good
ahead.
evening. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Okay. I have a question. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I have a question. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I have a question. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I have a question. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. we're aware that the dump, those guys who work in the dump.
Yes.
Can you expound on the policy for them to take regular checks, and if they do, part of their checks include long checks? And with respect to the concrete, the ready-mix industry, I am aware from my studies that the regular Portland cement, type 2 Portland cement, contains up to about 17 to 25% of silica. And I have always been an advocate for persons in that industry to always wear a mask in the execution of their duties. The silica in the cement is an admixture product that adhere or support early yielding in the compressive strength. And there are times when you get different level or different grade, a higher grade of cement, which means you will have a higher silica content. Doctor, can you expound on how important or how imperative it is for people who work in that industry to have regular those type of checks?
Yeah, it's very important.
Because
even I have patients who work in the earth movers, the large machines, that they're sealed in there. They still get silica inside their containers there. So in silica, the problem with silica is it doesn't get cleared out of the lungs. So over a period of time, you can get diseases like silicosis and stuff like that, where they start to have restrictive forms of. But it happens. The problem is that when a person has been working in construction for a long time, the disease doesn't happen then. It happens later as they're aging. And so they will always say, yeah, I used to work in construction for 20 years ago. And that's the problem, is that it catches up with you. So you want to do that prevention early on because you don't want it to catch up with you later. And I think that's important to think of that. So whether you're working in a sewage industry, you're working in a dust area, if you're inhaling something, you need to wear a mask so that it doesn't catch up with you later.
Caller, you asked a very, very important question about those who work at solid waste. I confess I don't know what the answer is. I'll have to check with the Ministry of Health. But if the answer is that we do not mandate it, I believe that we should mandate it, that they get regular checkups, including pulmonary checks. I do know that we have mandated that they wear certain protective equipment, protective gear, and I have noticed myself that sometimes the workers do not. So even though the company says they should, that they go out and they're not necessarily adhering to that. But again, we come back to education.
Yes.
Some say, putting this thing on, it makes me hot, makes me whatever. But if it's necessary for their health, then we really need to mandate it. So, caller, I don't know what the answer to the question is. I'll find out. But I do think that the suggestion is an excellent suggestion. And the government, or solid waste as the case may be, should be offering that regular checkup for our workers. So I take that on board 100%, and thank you very much. I believe I know the voice, so I thank you for the suggestion, and always great suggestions. We have 10 minutes left. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. As we wait for the phones to ring, I invite one and all again to our Mango Festival that's happening starting tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all about mango. And then on Sunday, we have the Grand For the Love of Mangoes that happens at the MGR Park. The gates open at 11. I'm told that there's still some tickets available. So go to www.nevismangofest.com to get your tickets and to be a part of this celebration. It is really a culinary extravaganza. So we invite you to be a part of that. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark.
Hi. Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening.
This is Rodney. I want to say thank you to all people in Nevis for being there for me when I was down. And I really appreciate everybody. I just wanted to say thank you, and I will be opening next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're sure? You're strong enough? Your knee's good enough?
And I want to say thank you again to Macefield Nisbet them. They come every morning and give me therapy. And I want to say thank you. One of the ladies who call me at mornings.
So
Hello?
you're going to reopen when? Tell me.
Hello?
You're going to reopen when?
On next week, Monday, the 15th.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm happy to hear you're back on your feet.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. God bless.
Okay.
Okay. We have about 8 minutes left, and we're going to take some calls if we can for those out there who still want to talk to us. Again, the numbers are 869-469-1616 and 1700. So, Dr. George, I'm going back to this summer program that you're doing. I think it's quite fascinating because it allows, as you say, young doctors, it allows youngsters like your son to volunteer and to be a part of what you're doing. It also, I think, allows youngsters to get a glimpse into what they may want to do with themselves and with their own lives. So I want to commend that. And since I'm always trying to see what I could do for Nevis, whether or not there are youngsters here who might attach themselves in the next visits that you might make to
we
see
would
us.
love to. That was one of the goals, is to I'm getting my son here to teach other kids how to check blood pressure, how to check pulse ox, how to check oxygen, how to understand basic first aid, how to get I'd like to actually get a BLS program, like CPR classes.
What's BLS? Explain that to me.
Basic life support.
Okay.
So how to do CPR. So I want young kids to learn how to do basic CPR, and so that's something we're trying to get at that very basic level for high school kids to do that, but also teach other kids. So I think this is really important. So I'm excited if there's some kids who are interested in working with us here and to volunteer, we'd be happy to take them on.
I think the young people out there listening, you have an opportunity to be with the experts, to shadow them, to learn and see, and to determine whether or not that's a career path for you. Let's go back to the phones. Caller, please call back in. Please be patient with us. 869-469-1616 or 1700. We do want to hear what you have to say, so we apologize for that. But Dr. George, I think that program is interesting to me because, we need to create pathways for our young people especially, so that they could have that hands-on experience, that they can see what is done. Sometimes they fall in love with it. I will give you anecdotally that we started a movie industry here in the heart of COVID. Everybody said it was impossible. We have since done 14 feature films on Nevis. We've done 2 television series, and we've done 2 catalog photo shoots since that time. And I have been amazed at how many youngsters have stepped up to say, hey, I want to act, or I want to write, or I want to direct, I want to do makeup or costume design. And so I think a lot of times it's just a question of our people being able to see it being done.
Yep.
Because then they get excited about it. So that's why I think that this summer program that you're proposing is really exciting.
That excitement is very visual. You can see that, like in our clinic, when we had 1 or 2 students come in there, and they when they talk to patients, and the patients talk back to them and said, that's really nice what you did, that the kids just light up like light bulbs. And then when you take the kids and have them teach other kids, children teaching other children, there's a really big synergistic effect. And so they go back to school, and they'll talk to other kids, and other kids are interested in it. I think that's something that I think it's very important. So we're going to try to continue the summer program here. So every summer we'll come the same time, the Mango Festival, and we'll bring 1 or 2 kids, and if we want to align ourselves with 1 or 2 kids here, we're happy to do that, and we'll start to do some basic teaching and go from there.
Good. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller. You are on the mark. Hello?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. You're on the air.
Dr. George, I'm glad you come to see people like me who have pulmonary fibrosis.
Oh.
Because a lot of people don't even know what is pulmonary fibrosis.
Could you tell us a little bit about what pulmonary fibrosis is?
It comes from part of autoimmune disease. Scleroderma.
And what's the effect on you when you have that disease?
Shortness of breath, breathing problems. Have to use oxygen.
Okay. And you have seen Dr. George before?
Yes.
And has it been helpful for you?
Yes, but I would really like to see him again this week.
This week.
You're more than welcome to. Just if you come to the hospital there on Thursday or Friday, just we'll be happy to see you.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much, and I hope you get some relief. There's one client, Dr. George, who's, you know, I know who it is, and she has expressed privately to me on several occasions that, you know, the work that you have done here is really welcome. And I think that we can't emphasize that enough, that, you know, we're on radio now and we're having a chat, but this is about real people. It's about real lives. It's about bringing relief to people. This young woman has a young daughter. You know, she wants to be around for her daughter, and her daughter wants her around. You know, so it's about when you get down to the granular level, as you said earlier, medicine is really about people.
Right.
It's about interacting with people. So I'm delighted that she called, and certainly hope.
And it's
that
about
she can
access
see.
too.
Yeah.
So if there are, you know, people like that need, you know, access, that is one of the things that we want to provide, is that, you know, you'll be seen and taken care of.
So tell us a little bit, as we close off the show tonight, tell us a little bit about the telehealth aspect. So let us assume that I'm here, I have some pulmonary difficulty. The suggestion is, well, obviously you don't live here, you live in Georgia. How can that work in terms of, let's say I've seen you before, I need a follow-up, I'm having a difficulty. How does the telehealth aspect work?
So telehealth came out of COVID, and so what COVID did is it restricted a lot of doctors and patients from seeing each other. And so in the US and in other countries and stuff like that, the concept of using telecommunications to talk to each other and give each other advice worked really, really well. So we're trying to connect with some of the local doctors here, that if a patient needed pulmonary access, we can provide telehealth services for them. And the neat thing about telehealth for pulmonary is that your voice has a certain strength to it. So if a person is short of breath, if a person is having difficulty breathing, we can also hear that in their voice. And so there are certain programs out there that actually can tell whether you have asthma, COPD, or pneumonia, just on
from
the
your
basis-
voice?
Yes.
Wow.
So if you can sing a full song, you probably have a pretty good lung function capacity. Or if you can do a 20-minute mile and you don't stop and you don't get short of breath, your lungs function pretty well. So that's an easy test. And so when our patients come to me and they tell me they're short of breath, you know, and they say, well, what do I need to do to make my lungs stronger? I tell them, be able to walk a mile within 20 minutes. And that's even hard for me.
20-minute mile.
20-minute mile.
Okay, I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Walk a mile in 20 minutes. So if you can do that, you say that you're
good lung function,
you're pretty good lung function. Okay, interesting. All right. So do we have time for another call? I don't know. We have 2 minutes left. Someone was trying to call, but I don't think we got to them. So, Doc, remind us, please. So you're here at the hospital when?
So we're here Thursday, Friday, and then we'll be at the Four Seasons on Saturday. We'll come back again in 6 months with working for the lung cancer screening in January again. So we're shooting for twice a year, and then if there are patients who want to follow with this, we can also do some of the telehealth and go through.
So the Four Seasons screening is for Four Seasons workers. It's a partnership you have with them.
Yes.
Yes. And then the 2 days, Thursday and Friday, you say you're at the hospital.
Yes, Thursday, Friday afternoons.
So anybody who wants access needs to reach out to the hospital and see whether or not they can book you in Thursday and Friday. Dr. George, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Thank you to your son. We couldn't get him on camera tonight, but the next time we're going to mic him up and have him being a part of the show. And thank you for your student volunteer as well. You say you have a young doctor with you, a young med student.
Yeah, she's starting med school, and we're hopefully, you know, if there are students here who are interested in learning for pulmonary respiratory diseases and stuff like that, let me know, and we'll try to connect it together.
Good, and I want to thank Ursula as well. She's the person behind the scenes.
Yes, yes.
She's never on camera, but Ursula, we say thank you. And that's Ursula Phillip. I call her the Georgia Peach. So she's been doing great work with us as well. So, Dr. George, thank you very much, and thank you for your philanthropy, thank you for your volunteerism, and thank you for your love of people, because ultimately that's what has brought you here. And I want you to know that you're bringing well-needed relief to many people. So I say thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's our show for tonight. The band hasn't yet struck up, but normally it strikes up around now. Here we go, because when the band strikes up, it means we have to go. Again, as I close, we want to thank everyone who attended the airport groundbreaking ceremony. We hope that project gets off to a flying start. We invite everyone, particularly our brothers and sisters from St. Kitts, to head over for our Mango Festival that starts tomorrow and goes until Sunday. And the tickets, again, are available at www.nevismangofest.com. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow, right here on Von Radio at 1 p.m. So If you missed it, you can listen. And then some say it's so nice they listen twice. So thank you very much. That's our show for this evening. We hope to be back with you next week, God willing. Thank you. Good night and God bless.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
With all the power from the tower, this is the Powerhouse.